Taking full responsibility for your life is the foundation of every form of success, growth, and personal transformation. Until you stop blaming other people, circumstances, or your past, you will never truly step into your power. You have to understand something very clearly. No one is coming to save you. Not your parents, not your friends, not your teachers, not your boss, nobody. The moment you realize that your life, your outcomes, and your future are completely in your hands, that's the moment everything begins to change. It's not about what happened to you. It's about what you decide to do about it. People waste years of their lives pointing fingers, complaining about unfair situations, or waiting for the world to become easier. But life doesn't get easier, you get stronger. And that strength only comes when you accept that you are the author of your own story. Taking responsibility means you stop saying, they did this to me, and start saying, I allowed this to happen, or I didn't do what I could have done to change it. That's not self-blame, it's self-empowerment. Because when you admit that something is within your control, you also admit that you have the power to change it. Every time you make an excuse, you hand over your power to someone else. You give them control over your emotions, your outcomes, and your peace of mind. But when you say, I own this, you take that power back. You're no longer a victim, you're a creator. And creators don't wait for conditions to be perfect. They act, they learn, and they adjust until they get it right. The truth is, life is never fair, but it's always honest. It gives you back exactly what you put in. If you're lazy, it gives you regret. If you're disciplined, it gives you progress. If you're focused, it gives you results. It's not about luck. It's about responsibility. You can't control where you start, but you can control how you finish. You can't choose your family, your childhood, or your environment, but you can choose your attitude, your habits, and your effort every single day. Too many people get stuck in their story. They replay their pain, their failures, and their disappointments like a broken record. But the successful ones write a new story. They say, this happened to me, but it won't define me. They take the pain and turn it into power. They take responsibility not just for the good moments, but also for the setbacks. Taking responsibility also means accepting that your results reflect your decisions. If you're not where you want to be, it's not because the world is unfair. It's because you haven't made the right choices consistently enough. You can't skip the work and still expect the reward. You can't plant excuses and expect a harvest of success. You have to look at your life and ask, what part of this is my fault? That question might sting, but it's the question that separates average from great. Greatness doesn't come from talent or luck. It comes from ownership. The moment you stop running from accountability and start confronting the truth, you grow, you learn, you evolve. Because you finally realize that no one can fix your life except you. People who succeed aren't the ones with the easiest path. They're the ones who took ownership even when things went wrong. They didn't say, it's not my fault. They said, it's my responsibility. There's a difference between fault and responsibility. Something might not be your fault. Maybe someone betrayed you. Maybe life hit you with something unexpected, but it's still your responsibility to rise above it. Because no matter who caused your pain, you're the only one who can heal it. No matter who broke your trust, you're the only one who can rebuild your confidence. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you're okay with what happened. It means you're choosing to move forward despite it. When you truly embrace responsibility, you stop waiting for motivation and start living by commitment. You don't wait for someone to remind you. You remind yourself. You don't need validation. Your results speak for you. You begin to live intentionally. You wake up knowing that every decision you make, every habit you form, every choice you take is shaping your destiny. That kind of awareness changes how you move. It makes you think before you complain. It makes you act before you doubt. And it makes you push before you quit. Because you realize that life will only give you what you earn, not what you wish for. So from this day forward, don't let yourself off the hook. Stop saying, I can't, and start saying, I will. Stop blaming your situation and start building your solution. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Create it. Don't talk about what went wrong. Focus on what you can make right. You owe it to yourself to stop giving your power away. The day you stop blaming and start owning is the day you begin to rise. Because when you take full responsibility for your life, you take control of your future. And that's when everything, absolutely everything, starts to change. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. And it's the difference between people who talk about success and those who actually achieve it. Most people want to win, but very few are willing to show up every single day, even when they don't feel like it. That's where discipline separates the strong from the weak. Motivation will get you started, but it's discipline that keeps you moving when the excitement fades, when you wake up tired, when the results are slow, when life feels heavy. Discipline is what keeps you going. It's the voice inside that says, I don't feel like it, but I'll do it anyway. Because success doesn't care about your feelings. It only responds to your consistency. Every great person you admire didn't become great because they were lucky or always inspired. They became great because they made a decision to be consistent. Discipline means showing up when it's raining, when it's cold, when you're hurt, when you're tired, and when no one's watching. It's doing the work in silence without applause, because you know that sooner or later, that effort will speak for itself. The problem is, too many people let their emotions control their actions. They say they'll work out when they feel like it, study when they're in the mood, or grind when they're inspired. But feelings are temporary. If your grind depends on emotion, you'll never last long enough to see results. Discipline, on the other hand, is a decision, a lifestyle. It's choosing what's right over what's easy every single time. You have to train yourself to act beyond emotion. When your mind says, I'm tired, your discipline must answer, do it anyway. When your body says, I can't, your discipline must reply, one more rep. It's that constant inner war that builds greatness, because discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Every time you push past your comfort zone, you add strength to your character. Every time you choose discipline over excuses, you move closer to your destiny. And once you develop the habit of showing up regardless of how you feel, nothing can stop you. Think about every goal, every dream, every success story begins with small, daily actions done consistently over time. But most people quit before they see results. They expect instant gratification, and when they don't get it, they give up. But discipline teaches you patience. It teaches you that real progress is invisible at first. You may not see the results today, but that doesn't mean it's not working. Discipline is doing the right thing even when no one is clapping for you, because you understand that every rep, every effort, every hour is an investment that will pay off. The people who win are those who stayed consistent long enough for their time to come. There will always be distractions, setbacks, and temptation trying to pull you away from your path. There will always be an easier option to sleep in, to skip practice, to take a break, to quit. But discipline keeps you focused on the bigger picture. It reminds you why you started. It reminds you that temporary comfort is never worth long-term regret. Every time you choose discipline, you're building a future version of yourself that's stronger, wiser, and unstoppable. Every time you let comfort win, you're letting that future slip further away. The cost of discipline is hard work, but the cost of regret is a lifetime of what if. Understand that discipline is not punishment. It's a form of self-respect. When you stay disciplined, you're telling yourself that your goals matter, your dreams matter, your potential matters. You're proving to yourself that you're capable of keeping promises, and that self-trust becomes your greatest weapon. When you know you'll show up no matter what, you stop doubting yourself. You stop waiting for motivation, because you've built a system that runs on commitment, not emotion. It's not easy, and it's not supposed to be. Discipline requires sacrifice. It means saying no to the party so you can study. It means waking up early when everyone else is sleeping. It means working when others are relaxing. But that's what separates you from the crowd. The world is full of people who talk about success, but few who are disciplined enough to earn it. You can't want success and live a lazy lifestyle. You can't say you're hungry and then make excuses. If you want to be great, you must train your body and mind to obey your vision, not your feelings. When you live with discipline, life changes. Your confidence grows because you know you can depend on yourself. You don't need validation and you don't need luck. You start to see progress in areas where you were once stuck, because discipline builds momentum and momentum builds success. So even on the hard days, especially on the hard days, keep showing up, because one day all those early mornings, late nights, and moments of sacrifice will add up. And when that day comes, you'll look back and realize that it wasn't motivation that got you there. It was discipline. The decision to keep going when quitting would have been easier. Keeping your promises to yourself is one of the most powerful habits you can ever develop, because it builds the foundation of self-trust. And without self-trust, you can't have discipline, confidence, or real progress. Most people think success is about how much they do in a day, but true success begins with the relationship you have with yourself. If you say you're going to wake up early, but you hit the snooze button, you're breaking that promise. If you say you're going to eat healthy, but you keep going back to bad habits, you're breaking that promise. And every time you break a promise to yourself, you're sending a message to your brain that your words don't mean much. You lose credibility with yourself. Just like you'd stop trusting someone who keeps lying to you, your mind stops trusting you when you don't follow through on what you said you would do. When you keep your word to yourself, even in the smallest things, something powerful happens. You begin to believe in yourself again. You start to see yourself as someone who can be counted on, someone who does what they say, someone who can be trusted. That's where real confidence comes from. Confidence isn't built by pretending to be strong. It's built by proving to yourself over and over again that you can be trusted with your own goals. When you say, I'm going to do this, and then you actually do it, your brain starts to believe that you're capable. And when you believe you're capable, you start setting higher goals, taking bigger risks, and achieving things that once felt impossible. The problem is, Too many people keep promises to everyone except themselves. You'll show up for your boss, your friends, your family. But when it's time to show up for you, you make excuses. You'll say, I'm tired. I'll start tomorrow. Or it's just one time. It won't matter. But it does matter. Every small broken promise chips away at your belief in yourself. And when you don't believe in yourself, you lose the fire to keep going. That's why some people start strong and quit halfway, because they don't trust themselves to finish. They've created a habit of giving up, and that habit becomes who they are. You've got to reverse that. You've got to start making small promises and keeping them every single day. If you say you'll work out for 30 minutes, do it. If you say you'll read 10 pages, read them. If you say you'll wake up early, get up the moment your alarm goes off. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. Every time you do what you said you'd do, you build a little more confidence, a little more respect, a little more strength. You're proving to yourself that you're serious about your goals. And once you master keeping promises to yourself, you'll start keeping bigger promises to your life. Keeping promises to yourself also changes how you see failure. You stop fearing it because you know you'll keep going no matter what. When you trust yourself, setbacks don't define you. They refine you. You don't need motivation from others because you've built a reputation with yourself. You know that even when it's hard, you'll push through. That's the power of self-trust. It gives you stability when life gets unpredictable. It helps you stay focused when everything around you feels chaotic. Because when you've built that inner trust, you no longer rely on feelings, you rely on principles. Most people underestimate how much power they lose when they break their own promises. You start doubting your ability to change, and that doubt spreads into every part of your life. You begin to think you're not disciplined enough, not consistent enough, not strong enough. But that's not true. You just haven't practiced following through long enough to see results. You've trained yourself to quit, but you can train yourself to stay committed too. Every time you finish what you start, no matter how small, you're rewiring your brain to believe that your words matter. And when your words matter, you become unstoppable. Imagine treating yourself the way you treat someone you deeply respect. You wouldn't lie to them. You wouldn't make empty promises. You wouldn't tell them you'll do something and then not show up. So why do it to yourself? When you respect yourself, you stop negotiating with your goals. You stop letting comfort or laziness make decisions for you. You become a person of integrity, someone whose actions align with their words. That's what separates dreamers from achievers. One keeps talking, the other keeps doing. There's a different kind of power that comes when you can look in the mirror and say, I trust me. That's the moment you stop depending on other people's approval. You don't need validation because you already know who you are and what you stand for. You know you'll get it done no matter how long it takes. That kind of self-trust becomes your fuel, your armor, your foundation. It gives you peace in chaos and strength in weakness. And the only way to build it is through daily commitment to your word. So from this day forward, make a promise to yourself and keep it no matter what. Start small if you need to, but stay consistent. Don't let your emotions decide your effort. Don't talk about what you're going to do. Prove it. Because every time you do, you're not just building habits, you're building character. And that character, that unshakable trust in yourself, is what will carry you to success when motivation fades and the world goes silent. Keep your promises to yourself, because the most important person you can ever believe in is you. Excuses are the enemy of progress. Every time you make an excuse, you delay your own greatness. You tell yourself a story that sounds true enough to make you feel better. But deep down, you know it's a lie, a way to protect your comfort zone. People love to talk about how much they want success, but the moment pressure hits, they start explaining why it's too hard, why they can't, why it's not the right time. But excuses don't produce results. Execution does. You can talk all day about what you're going to do, but if you're not taking action, you're not moving forward. The difference between winners and everyone else is simple. Winners execute while others explain. Winners don't wait for perfect conditions. They make progress in imperfect ones. You have to understand that every excuse you make is a choice to stay average. It's easier to say, I don't have time, than to admit, I'm not managing my time. It's easier to say, I don't have resources, than to admit, I'm not being resourceful. Excuses sound comforting in the moment, but they cost you opportunities that never come back. They rob you of the very thing you say you want. You can't make excuses and progress at the same time. You have to choose one. People who make excuses look for reasons not to act. People who execute look for ways to act no matter what. That's the mindset you need. One that doesn't care about obstacles, only about outcomes. The truth is, life will always give you a reason to quit. You'll always be tired, busy, broke, or stressed. But those aren't valid reasons to stop. They're part of the process. Everyone has challenges. The successful ones simply decide that their goals are bigger than their problems. They stop asking, why me? And start saying, try me. They stop focusing on what they don't have and start maximizing what they do have. They stop blaming circumstances and start creating solutions. Execution doesn't wait for comfort. Execution happens when you're disciplined enough to move despite discomfort. You have to train your mind to recognize excuses as warning signs. The moment you hear yourself saying, I can't, I'll do it later, or oops, not fair, catch yourself. Because that's your weakness talking. That's your comfort zone fighting to keep control. You can't grow and stay comfortable at the same time. You either make progress or make excuses. When you start replacing those excuses with action, everything changes. Instead of, I don't have time, say, I'll make time. Instead of, I'm not ready, say, I'll learn as I go. Instead of, I'm too tired, say, I'll rest after I'm done. That shift in mindset turns you from a victim into a leader. It gives you power over your circumstances. Every successful person you know has had to fight through something. Fear, doubt, poverty, rejection, pain. But they didn't use those as excuses. They used them as fuel. They understood that if you want to change your life, you have to stop talking about what's in your way and start finding a way. Excuses build walls. Execution breaks them. Excuses keep you safe. Execution makes you strong. When you take action, you gain clarity. When you act consistently, you build momentum. And momentum is what transforms effort into achievement. The hardest part is starting. Most people wait for the right feeling to take action, but that's backwards. Action creates feeling. Once you start, motivation follows. But if you keep waiting for motivation, you'll never begin. You have to move first. Even when you're scared, even when you're uncertain, that's how you build confidence. Every small step you take reinforces the belief that you can. And as that belief grows, excuses lose their power because excuses are only as strong as your fear, and fear fades when you act. Replacing excuses with execution also means holding yourself accountable. Stop sugarcoating your failures. If you didn't follow through, own it. If you fell off track, admit it. But don't stay there. Adjust and keep going. People who execute don't let one mistake become a pattern. They learn fast and move forward faster. Every time you execute, even imperfectly, you get closer to your goals. Every time you delay, you drift further away. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't filled with luck or talent. It's filled with consistent execution. You can have every reason to quit and still choose to continue. That's what separates greatness from mediocrity. The world doesn't reward excuses. It rewards effort. It rewards those who do the work when others are talking about doing the work. If you want success, stop explaining your limitations and start expanding your actions. Don't wait for approval, conditions, or certainty. Just start, because life doesn't give you what you wish for. It gives you what you work for. So from this day on, eliminate excuses from your vocabulary. Refuse to be the person who talks about what they could have done. Be the person who did it. When something gets hard, don't look for a way out. Look for a way through. Remember, every time you choose execution over excuses, you separate yourself from the crowd. You become someone who gets results. You become someone who wins. Because at the end of the day, success isn't about who had the best circumstances. It's about who had the courage to act, no matter the circumstances. Pain is not your enemy. It's your greatest teacher. Most people run from pain, not realizing that's the very thing that shapes strength, character, and resilience. Growth does not happen in comfort. It happens when you're pushed beyond your limits, when you feel exhausted, when you question whether it's even worth it. But if you quit every time it hurts, you'll never see what you're truly capable of. Pain is the price you pay for progress. It's the test life gives to see how bad you really want it. Everyone says they want success until it starts to hurt. Everyone loves the idea of winning until the grind becomes uncomfortable. But the ones who push through pain, those who stay when others walk away, those are the ones who become unstoppable. The truth is, pain is a signal, not a stop, but to grow. It's your body and mind stretching beyond what's familiar. When you're in pain, it means you're changing. It means you're breaking old patterns, building new habits, and developing new strength. Every rep in the gym that burns, every early morning you don't want to wake up, every rejection that stings, that's growth in disguise. Pain teaches you discipline, humility, and patience. It shows you that greatness isn't built in moments of ease, but in moments of endurance. When you can suffer for something you believe in, you build a level of power that nothing can break. People think that success feels good all the time. It doesn't. Success is uncomfortable. It's lonely. It demands sacrifice. There will be days when you question yourself, when you feel like giving up, when nothing seems to be working. But those are the moments that define you. If you can keep moving through the storm, you come out stronger than you were before. The pain that once felt unbearable becomes your fuel. You begin to realize that every struggle prepared you for something greater. The very thing that hurt you becomes the thing that built you. That's how champions are made, not in comfort, but in chaos. You have to stop viewing pain as punishment and start seeing it as preparation. Every setback, every failure, every disappointment is shaping you into the person capable of carrying success. Pain is not there to break you. It's there to train you. Think about it. If everything came easy, you'd never develop strength. If nothing challenged you, you never learn perseverance. It's the hard moments that give you perspective. It's the struggle that gives you appreciation. You can't enjoy victory if you've never experienced defeat. You can't value success if you've never felt the sting of failure. Pain gives meaning to the reward. The difference between those who make it and those who don't is how they handle pain. Some people let it stop them. Others use it as motivation. The pain you feel today can either destroy you or develop you. The choice is yours. When you push through pain, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than your circumstances. You build a mindset that refuses to quit. You start to understand that pain is temporary, but quitting is forever. That's why the greatest athletes, entrepreneurs, and leaders all have one thing in common. They kept going when it hurt the most. They understood that pain was part of the process, not a sign to stop. You have to decide right now that you will no longer run from discomfort. You will face it, embrace it, and use it. Because every time you overcome pain, you evolve. Every time you push through exhaustion, you expand your capacity. You're no longer just surviving, you're transforming. Pain is the bridge between who you are and who you're meant to be. You can't cross it by taking shortcuts. You can't skip the suffering. You have to go through it. But once you do, once you've endured what most people avoid, you come out with a kind of confidence that can't be shaken. When you push through pain, something happens inside you. Your mindset changes. You stop looking for easy wins and start chasing meaningful challenges. You stop asking for things to get easier and start praying to get stronger. You stop fearing failure and start using it as feedback. Pain teaches you that struggle isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of growth. It's proof that you're doing something worth doing. And when you finally reach your goal, that victory feels different. It's not just success, it's transformation. You don't just achieve something, you become someone. So the next time life hurts, don't run, don't complain, don't quit. Look at that pain and say, this is the process. Remind yourself that every great story has chapters of struggle. Every champion has scars. Every winner has wounds. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. Keep pushing because the pain you feel today will become the strength you stand on tomorrow. It's not easy, but that's exactly why it's worth it. Pain is the proof that you're on the right path because nothing truly great is built without it. Becoming the version of yourself that refuses to quit is the ultimate goal of personal growth because life will test you. It will hit you with disappointment, rejection, failure, and heartbreak. And when it does, most people fold. They give up when things get hard. But the strongest ones, the ones who make it to the top, are not the smartest or the most talented. They're the ones who simply refuse to quit. When life knocks them down, they get up. When doors close, they build their own. When people doubt them, they keep going anyway. They don't stop because they've made a decision deep inside that no matter how hard it gets, they're not turning back. That's what separates winners from everyone else. Not skill, not luck, but an unbreakable will. Refusing to quit doesn't mean you don't get tired, frustrated, or discouraged. It means you keep moving forward despite those feelings. There will be days when you feel like your effort isn't paying off, when it feels like the world doesn't see your grind, but quitting won't make it better. It'll only guarantee that you never reach what you've been fighting for. Every time you push through that urge to give up, you build mental toughness. You develop a mindset that says, I might bend, but I won't break. That kind of resilience becomes your superpower in a world full of people who give up too easily. You have to understand that quitting is a habit, and so is persistence. If you make a habit of quitting whenever things get uncomfortable, that behavior will show up everywhere in your goals, your relationships, your work, your dreams. But if you build the habit of finishing what you start, of staying locked in until the job is done, that will follow you too. Every small win strengthens your belief that you can endure. Every challenge you overcome becomes proof that you're capable of handling more. The person who refuses to quit doesn't rely on motivation. They rely on purpose. Motivation fades, but purpose keeps you going when nothing else makes sense. When you refuse to quit, you send a message to life itself. You can test me, but you can't break me. And that's when life starts to respect you. The obstacles don't disappear, but you get stronger. The challenges don't stop, but you start moving through them with more confidence. Every time you endure, you level up. You start to realize that most people fail not because they lack potential, because they quit too soon. They stop digging just before they strike gold. They walk away when success was one more push away. But when you refuse to quit, you give yourself the chance to win. And sometimes that's all you need. Refusing to quit is about staying loyal to your vision, even when the results aren't showing yet. It's about holding the line when it feels like nothing is working, because consistency compounds. The small efforts you make day after day, even when you don't see progress, are adding up behind the scenes. The day you quit is often the day before the breakthrough. That's why you have to keep going, even when it doesn't make sense, even when no one else believes in you, because quitting guarantees failure, but persistence guarantees growth. There will be voices, both external and internal, telling you to stop. People might doubt you, criticize you, or try to pull you back to their level. Your own mind will try to convince you that it's not worth it. But you have to silence that noise. You have to remind yourself why you started. You have to reconnect with that fire that made you begin in the first place. When you remember your why, the how becomes easier to handle. The pain becomes tolerable because you know it's leading somewhere. You're not just pushing for today. You're pushing for the person you're becoming. And that person, the one who refuses to quit, moves differently. They don't waste time complaining. They don't let fear dictate their actions. They don't need to be told to work. They've already decided that failure isn't an option. They understand that struggle is part of the process. They use setbacks as fuel and pain as motivation. They keep going, not because it's easy, but because they know what's waiting on the other side is worth it. Quitting gives temporary relief. Persistence gives lasting victory. You have to make up your mind right now that you will not stop until you reach your destination. Burn the boats, close the exits, and commit fully. If you fall, get back up. If you fail, learn and move again. Every comeback makes you stronger. Every time you rise after falling, you become more dangerous because the hardest person to defeat is the one who refuses to stay down. That's who you need to be. So from this moment on, make a promise to yourself. No more giving up when it gets tough. No more half effort. No more excuses. No more running from challenges. You are stronger than your circumstances, greater than your fears, and tougher than your pain. The version of you that refuses to quit is the version that will achieve everything you've been dreaming about. Because at the end of the day, success doesn't belong to the fastest, the smartest, or the most talented. It belongs to the one who simply refused to quit.